The wicked will be no more, the meek will possess the earth. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I was given this at my doorstep a few days ago as I was planning videos, and I was trying to think about what's going to be the title to kind of, introduce this batch of videos. And just as I was thinking this, I was actually doing meal prepping. And I always do it like that. I meal prep while I listen to podcasts, and I'm cooking and I'm writing video ideas and I'm doing laundry all at the same time. And I was there just racking my brains trying to think, like, what am I going to call this? How can I summarize everything I feel like I'm about to say in all these videos about all these different topics? And then I get a knock at the door, and these two lovely ladies, and they're like, we just wanted to give you this. And they're Jehovah's Witnesses. And it says, how will God's kingdom solve our problems? And it has Psalm 37, 10 and 11. The wicked will be no more. The meek will possess the earth. Yes, indeed, the Lord had the answer to my question delivered to my very doorstep. And I was like, that's it. That's the title, because that's what we're going to be talking about. So I'm going to just kind of tell you guys where we're at, okay? We're going to do a bit of a debrief about this year so far, and also just where I'm at, where we're at, and where I feel like we're at, right? Because as I take this very seriously, guys. Listen, I don't really care that I don't get a lot of views, okay? Because all my job is to do, and the winning team, is to do what I feel like every single possible thing I think I can do for the betterment of the group project, right? And so in a lot of ways, I'm just doing, and I'm taking it as seriously as though there are lives and souls on the line, because they are. So that's why I always talk to you, like, guys, as if I'm talking to like the entire world at the same time. Because anyways, at any point I technically could be. And also, for those of us who are here, it's very serious, and I take this seriously, and I'm so grateful for those of you who are here. And it is because you guys who have been here on this journey that have helped me to become the woman I am today. It is my duty, right, to stay focused and to make this all worth it, okay? So I'm going to give us all a debrief of like what I'm thinking, where I'm feeling spiritually, what I think is happening in this moment right now. And I appreciate, guys, I have not finished the books of Job, and I really need to get to it. And the simple answer, and this is going to sound really annoying, I haven't felt like it. And the thing is, I've been trying to do this new thing. You guys know I've always been a very head logic related person, and I always ignore my heart. I've been trying to flip that, right? And as a way to try and, tap into, be able to lean into the Holy Spirit more, because I've realized a lot of times I've ignored my intuition. That's what's led to things that have happened. But also God gave that to us for a reason. And so nowadays, whenever I need to record, I usually just get this urge to do the videos. And usually the more I follow that urge, the better the videos. And actually the better the videos also do, ironically, because it's the ones where I really don't overthink anything at all. Always the videos that suddenly, for some reason, for no reason, get a whole bunch of views as well. And I'm just like, how did that even happen? But anyway, we're going to do a debrief. The wicked will be no more, the meek will possess the earth. This is what I think is what's going to happen, because I said to you guys before about the other scripture. It's also in Psalms, I believe. The wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous. I think we're in a season right now where everybody's being exposed for who they really are. And I talked about this because of the passage that's in Matthew, the one where, the parable of the weeds and the wheat, where God's like, the weeds were planted, the wheat was planted, and then in the night, a thief came and planted weeds. And then the angels were like, should we remove the weeds? And then God was like, no, in case we remove the wheat as well. And he's allowed that all to grow. And then eventually he's going to gather the weeds first, and they'll be burned, and then take the wheat into the barn, right? So we're the wheat, right? Those of us at the winning team, and the world and a lot of the losers of the world are the weeds. And I believe we're in weed picking season, basically, is what I'm saying, is what I feel like. Because everywhere I'm turning, and a lot of the videos I'm going to be doing, this is, I was like, how am I going to summarize everything that's coming in a way that these guys can understand what the hell I'm talking about? I'm giving a lot of back-to-back examples of just losers in the world getting found out, and in just different kinds of ways. And it's like in all areas. It could be people on social media, it could be governments, it could be anything. But what I've been noticing is I've actually been enjoying being here recently. Like, I've actually been waking up. Like, today I woke up, I knew I was going to film first thing this morning. I've been waking up and actually feeling like some level of like enjoyment of being here. And it's because I've been seeing and I've been enjoying and laughing every day about how ridiculous this place is and how stupid everything is and how everyone's finally waking up to all the stuff we've been seeing, at least at the winning team. I feel like you guys are all here at the winning team. You're all like a version of me in your own lives, where it's like you relate to just being isolated, not really trusting anybody, keeping a lot of time to yourself, having seen too much and knowing too much to be all overly optimistic about everything. I know you guys can resonate with that. I can tell, because you wouldn't have been here this long if you didn't. And so you guys know when I'm saying stuff. That's why I say stuff to you guys. 'Cause I'm like, at least you can hear somebody else say something and you can feel like, girl, same, and know that in that aspect, you're not alone, okay? But it's been really funny. Like, so a lot of the videos today are going to come across probably unhinged, you know me, when I get into these moods. But the fact of the matter is the losers are being revealed. And it was always going to happen this way, because God, this is why I think God is the gangsterest of all gangsters that ever gangstered. Yeah. Because he knows that us as humans, when left to our own devices, bring our own destruction. But we're the ones who want to be left to our own devices, right? Everybody wants to have their freedoms. Everybody wants the right to be able to do whatever they want, say whatever they want. We just talked about Chud the Builder, which you guys are got to see that video. And everyone wants the rights, but then people don't want to think about the consequences and of our actions, and not just what you deal with as a result, but on a spiritual level, what you're inviting into your life as a result, because you become overwhelmed. This is why pride is something I've spoken so much about this. And notice how it says the wicked will be no more, the meek will possess the earth. Let's get a definition of meek. Actually, hold on. Guys, this is insane, yeah. So it says, quiet, gentle, and easily imposed on, submissive, yeah? Oh my gosh, the example that is given here is she brought her meek little husband along. Wow, of all the uses. Anyway, the wicked will be no more, the meek will possess the earth. So meek and submissive to whom? Well, I've often heard, you know, from men and women of God throughout the years who have helped, you know, me along the journey of my faith journey, describe Jesus as meek, and I would say yes, in the sense of God. And again, everything is always in relation to a lot of everything we do as humans. Yeah, the biggest thing I think as humans that I find to be annoying, and I've been talking about this, is that we don't think about our impact of our decisions on anybody else, but actually every single thing we do has an impact on somebody else. Every single thing we do, and whether we think we do or we don't, you know what I mean? It could be as simple as somebody goes I go into a shop and I want to buy a pair of heels, right? And I go and buy this pair of heels and I like find my shoe size. I'm like, oh, thank goodness they've got this is the last pair of size 5 shoes. I buy that pair of shoes, but I'm like, you know what? Do I even need these shoes? Not really, but I've just bought other shoes. I just bought more heels, but I'm going to get them anyway. And I buy them. Little did I know that somebody else was about to come into the store who's got to rush to a last minute event and it's really important, and they need they needed that exact pair of shoes, or a pair of shoes like that, and they're the same shoe size as me. And me taking it means they don't have the shoes. Now, it's not my fault because I don't know. That's not the point. The point is actions have consequences. In the same way, we all together, I might think, oh, you know what, I don't really like Disney, you know, and so I'm going to just keep Crunchyroll, which Disney's going to be one of the companies I'm coming for, by the way. So I'm just going to keep buying Crunchyroll because, you know, I mean, I don't like what they're doing, but I don't want to give up watching the animes on Crunchyroll. But then if we all do that, Disney's never going to be held accountable for anything. So we're doing it all together. So it is affecting other people. Me deciding not to do it, if other people also decide not to do it, it has an impact all of a sudden. Right? Exactly. And so our problem, I feel like, as humans, a lot of the time is we just don't understand how much every single thing we do impacts each other. And that's the big problem. That's why I said I've got an issue with this whole concept of people considering themselves a good person. I feel like it's a cop-out. Because people say, I'm a good person. I'm not doing anything to hurt anyone. In fact, I saw this the other day with a person that was trans who asked a Christian person, why would God be mad at me being trans? It's not like I'm hurting anybody. And my first thought was, how do you know? How do you know? How does any of us know whether we are or are not hurting people? Listen, guys, I've said it before. I've been in situations where I've hurt people and I didn't think I was hurting them. You know what I mean? Or I'd done things, I didn't realize how that was impacting somebody else. A lot of my childhood, a lot of the guilt I have as an adult is as a result of that, you know? Doing really well in a lot of subjects. I'm here chasing everything. I've got the adults all like, oh, you're so responsible, well done. And I'm doing all of this and getting a degree and whatnot. I didn't realize that in doing so, I was actually creating trauma in other people, other kids around me, because now they're being compared to me. They're being told, how comes you can't do things like her? How comes? And I didn't even want those things really. I just was doing what I thought was right. I was just thinking that setting an example was good without even realizing that also I was killing myself in the process because it was exhausting me, right? Which is why I'm now exhausted at 29. That's why the thought of relationships and anything, I'm like, I don't have the energy. I don't even have the energy to be a friend at the moment. I don't have the energy to look after myself, you know? And so there was consequences to that, but also what it was impacting people around me. And I have to think about that because in hindsight, I was like, you know what, that was never worth it. I would have rather have done, not been as successful, been able to have had more lifelong friends and like good relationships and not have been the reason why other people felt like less good about themselves because they weren't as focused or whatever as I was. But then I was only doing that also, and they don't know because I felt like that was the only way I ever got any love, that the only way it was guaranteed is I have to achieve something. So do you see what I'm saying about how the things are so much more, there's so much more to it than it's just like, oh, well, I'm not hurting anyone. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know your impact. You don't know what anything you're doing. This is sometimes why I get paranoid about making videos because I'm like, I don't want to, as much as I like to come in hard and I like to make jokes and I can be a bit blunt and stuff sometimes, I'm not actually trying to hurt anyone. I'm actually trying to help genuinely, you know? So I have to think to myself, this is what makes it so hard even just having conversations with people where it's like, if what I'm saying is going to hurt you more than it's going to help you, then it's not worth it. But then also, if all we're ever thinking about is not hurting anybody, then sometimes we end up not helping them. And this is my whole problem with the good person thing of like, oh, well, I'm not hurting anyone. You're not doing any bad, but you're also not doing any good. So then what's the result? The result is that the people who are doing bad win, ultimately. Because if you see yourself as good because you're not doing any bad, but you're also not doing any good, but then there's people who are doing bad and we call those bad people, then what's the result? What's the net result of what's going to happen in society? Bad things. And that's why we're in the society that we're living in now because, oh, I'm good because I'm not hurting anyone and I'm not doing anything against anyone. Well, you don't know. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what example you're leading. You just think you're just doing you, but you don't know. As the truth is, you don't know. And the fact that we think we do know is another delusion, another delusion in itself. So when it talks about being quiet, gentle, and easily imposed on submissive, to me that means you do that with God. You go to God and you're like, you know what, God, what you say, it goes, because you understand, like you have an understanding that God knows more than you do. God knows more about your impact than you do, right? God knows. He knows. He's the one who has the vision, the bird's eye view of how everything all of us is doing is affecting everything and everyone. So when you're like, hey, God, I'll submit to you, I'll listen to you, and you whatever. You're saying, you know, God, I trust you because you're the one who knows everything. And because you know everything, it makes sense for you to be the one that I listen to and I listen to quietly and I just do what you say. Right? And that's why you end up winning because God can see the things you can't see. That's why I'm like, the whole pride of us thinking we know, oh, I'm not hurting anyone. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. You never do because you don't possess the ability to understand. Because again, even if you just look at each other as human beings, we're all different. So we all perceive and understand different things differently based on where we come from even. For example, Sorted Food is one of my favorite food channels on the internet. They're a bunch of guys from the UK. They've all been mates since school, and they started this channel after, you know, Ben, who is a chef. He went to chef school. They all did different things at uni, but they all had known each other from secondary school, I believe. And when they used to meet up and go to the pub, he was appalled by what the boys were eating at uni. So he used to write on the napkins in the pub recipes for them to do, like easy student recipes. They started making videos. This was over like 15 years ago, I think. Or like, yeah, like maybe like 15 years ago. And they would then upload these videos, and they were silly videos. And now fast forward in time, they're huge. And I love Sorted Food guys. Those guys are amazing. And the funny thing about them is that they talk about how their thing is called Sorted Food, because at the end of the day, they'd be like, yeah, we've done this. All right, sorted. Like, it's sorted. The food is done. Like, it's finished. Like, whatever. And they were talking about how one of the main reasons they've stopped saying that at the end of the videos is because when they now have their, like, American audience and audiences from the other part of the world, the connotation of the word sorted is different. And this is what I'm saying. When I'm saying, how do you know how anything's coming across? Because you don't even know where, if I'm talking to you people from all over the world, yeah, I don't even know what the connotations are to every single word that I've ever said to you. I don't know what that means contextually for you. I don't know what it means. Like, I don't know. So it's the same thing like with Tyler, the singer, and how she's not been so well received in the West because she calls herself coloured, which is a term that is used in South Africa, but is considered racist in places like the West, but the same West that also uses phrases like people of color. So that's always been my thing, is what's the difference? Do you see what I'm saying? How does any of us actually know? You might say, I'm not hurting anyone, but you go to this seafood bar once a week with your friends, right? And you feel good about yourself because you always tip the waiters and you whatever. But have you thought about the fact that the more you're doing that and the higher demand there is there at that restaurant that you love, there's also the fishermen who are not being paid anything, who are being overworked because of the high demand, who don't get to see their families, who've been working 15 hours a day to catch that very seafood. You haven't thought about the fact that you going there and you engaging with this is what's causing for this person who's now stuck, because they're like, sorry, we know we were going to send you to go home, but now we're not sending you home because we need you to work harder, because we need a higher demand. But you're not hurting anyone. That's my point. Or like you go to a job where you're like, oh, I love working here at JP Morgan Chase. You know, it's such a good job, you know, but I'm not hurting anyone. But all of you together, all working at JP Morgan Chase, are the reason why the people at the top level don't get to have the money and whatever's to go and fly off to Epstein Island, or ordering teenage girls and things, allegedly. We've covered this story, the JP Morgan one, on the channel. So if none of you were there, at least you could say, or if you weren't there, at least you could say, I'm not supporting, I'm not a cog in this system. But you are. Oh, but I go up in the morning and I always, like, you know, give money to the homeless, and then I go to work and whatever, and I just, like, I give offering at church. I'm not doing anything to hurt anyone. Maybe not directly. Right? Your work, your hard work, and your skill set you're putting towards them, so they have enough money to then be able to pay off people, so that people don't get justice, so they can fly around all the place and be doing weird things while you're working a 9 to 5. Yeah. And so this is my point. So this is why I say that we as humans, like, we're going to talk a lot about just like how, you know, we're now going into a time where I do believe this will be true. The wicked will be no more, the meek will possess the earth. The wicked will be no more, because that's always going to happen, because eventually the wicked bring their own destruction. This is why I think God is gangster, like I said before. He doesn't really have to actually get involved, because we're going to do it to ourselves, which you guys, you're going to see. I've already given so far this week a couple of examples of people who built themselves up and then were the reason for their own demise, all by themselves. Like, the Lord didn't even need to intervene. They did it to themselves by shooting themselves in the foot in pride. Right? Because that's what always happened to the wicked. That's why you see everybody's clutching at straws now, and it's quite funny to me. And then the meek will possess the earth. Those of us who are just like, listen, I don't want to be in the drama. I'm not prepared to step on nobody's toe. Like, I'm not prepared to step on anybody to get to the top. I'm not prepared to risk to compromise on my morals and values for any perceived gain in the world. Right? Will possess the earth. Yeah, because then God's going to be like, and here's the coordinates to the winning pathway. Because you're listening. and you're here. And I can't explain it, guys, but I've been feeling like this, like feeling of just like, it's almost like, I don't know how to describe it, but I'm gonna try to describe it, like almost as if like a mountain of treasure is just like, it's just like coming towards me. You know, I've just been feeling like, I don't know, it's a bit strange. And I've just been feeling like I don't really need to worry about anything. I've just had this, I know this is crazy, I've just had this overwhelming feeling of like, I genuinely don't need to worry about anything about the future at all. I don't know why, but I just have. That's why I've just been kind of enjoying it along the way. Like, it's exam season. I'm trying to do all I can, obviously, to help the kids with their exams. I don't care about the exams. I think it's also a lot of hogwash. I think this whole education system is redundant. But hey, my youngest brother's doing his GCSEs, and I said to myself, you know, I'm at least going to put my all into helping his year group, as in like all of the 16-year-olds who I'm teaching at the moment, 15, some of them still 15 even, and also the SAT students who I'm working with. I'm going to give them my all. And I know that all of this is a waste of time and none of this stuff matters, but hey, at least I helped them to do well. And if it turns out that this is going to be meaningful for them, then good. But if not, hey, you know, so I'm just minding my business with that. I'm here with you guys. I'm literally doing nothing else. I'm just here watching these silly videos, playing games, and just essentially just waiting and watching. And low key, the more I'm watching, the more I'm just seeing, yeah, it's like one after the other after the other. You're seeing Kingdom of Darkness is crumbling. It's starting to crumble. It's starting to crumble. The losers are starting to be found out. We've been in this whole exposure. People who didn't take the chance to humble themselves when they had the chance. Because you guys remember this time last year, I did a whole week or whatever videos. I all had visions. I was all having all these visions and everything. And I was like, guys, it's time to like humble themselves. Pray for the leaders. Pray for the world leaders. Pray for the church leaders. Pray for them to humble themselves and all this. Well, we did what we could do. We did what we could do. Like I said, I tried to do the best that I can, despite whatever, because that's all I can do. And now I'm just like, let's just kick back and watch what's happening. And let's just wait. Let's just actually wait for the inevitable. And the funny thing is that these people by themselves are the ones creating their own demise. The wicked will be no more. The meek will possess the earth. Psalms 37, 10 and 11. The meek will possess the earth. Because this is the biggest loser thing of all losers in the world and the world itself, is that you ever thinking based on your own wisdom, you ever can outdo God. And this is why I specifically think that God doesn't just retaliate in the way that people would want or think he would. Because people, the way humans think, it's like, well, if I had all the power in the world, I would be doing this and I would be doing that. Exactly. And that's you and your human wisdom. And that's why we bring ourselves to destruction. Exactly that. Exactly that. Exactly. The same way, like, you know, people don't believe, you know, we have obviously the Jews who don't believe Jesus was the Messiah because they're like, wait, you're supposed to come in and take out our enemies, take out the Romans. And Jesus is like, listen, I have bigger fish to fry here. You guys are all sentenced to death. I need to defeat death here. Like, there's other things. What you're thinking is, going back to what I was saying about, oh, I'm a good person, I'm not doing anything. What you're thinking is incorrecto. And hence why you guys are always bringing yourselves to your own destruction and then shocked. It's like, oh no, why is this happening? Oh no, how are these people on Epstein Island doing this? Because you're showing up to JP Morgan Chase and you're working at JP Morgan Chase. Because you're going and continuing to buy all these people's products and these products' brands and supporting what they're doing. That's why. That's why. So they have the money because we're all showing up. We're all showing up as slaves, as cogs in the kingdom of darkness. Workers in the factory of the kingdom of darkness. All of us. So no, why are we surprised? Of course they have that money because we're all there being obedient. And we're all here being meek to the wrong people. Isn't that funny? Quiet, gentle, and easily imposed on submissive. We're all here being submissive to the devil. All here being meek for the devil. But then as soon as it comes to being meek for God, oh, but I want my freedoms and I want my rights and I want to be able to do what I want to do. And God is just this tyrannical person who just wants to dominate over. But then you go and do that with the devil anyway. Huh? And it doesn't even benefit you. Because your life is getting worse and everything in the world is getting worse. Cost of living, this, that, this, all this. Everything's getting worse. But then you still, and that's where I'm like, the world doesn't add up. Like, because it's like, even if you're not even a believer in God, you should at least look at the world and it should be so abundantly clear to everybody that us following what we think makes sense doesn't make sense. That's the bit that gets me. I'm like, surely we can all see that us doing what we think makes sense isn't making sense. That's the bit that I don't get, where there's the confusion. But again, it's the pride. It's the pride. Because it takes a lot of humility and to actually be able to come before, actually accept, not just in your thoughts, not just in your words, but in your heart, that wow, without God, we are always going to be screwed. Because we want to believe, like I said, that we know enough. Oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm a good person. I didn't hurt anyone. We want to believe that. The idea that we couldn't be good is so uncomfortable for some people, but I take comfort in it, because it means, because I know where I have to go about that issue. Ironically, how will God's kingdom solve your problems? I know where I have to go to about that issue. I go straight to the Lord, and I just try my best to trust in him, who knows better. And on top of that, who actually cares about everyone. So that the things I might do that might hurt others or whatever, he can help direct me as to how to do things better or not better or whatever. Right? So that's going to be the essence of these videos, guys. It's going to be a lot of us laughing at a lot of losers. And why are we laughing at them? Because it's humbling. Sometimes it's good to be embarrassed. Sometimes it's good to feel embarrassed, and sometimes it's good to have people laugh at you a little bit. Because it might be what it takes for you to wake up. And guess what? By the time you humble yourself and you change things around, people will forget. Well, those of us in the winning team forget. Losers don't forget, because they always want to have something over somebody else. So they never let you forget, because it makes them feel better about themselves that they've never forgotten this, right? That's just loser energy. Those of us over here will absolutely forget, and will absolutely love you in your new state. But sometimes it's good to have a bit of a lot, like to actually laugh at how ridiculous you are and how ridiculous you sound. Sometimes it's needed. It's needed. It's needed. Like I've said, it's helped me in my life. Times in my life when I've realized how dumb I look and what embarrassing. I'm like, oh, what an embarrassment. But thank God that I have this opportunity to humble myself and change how I'm doing things, rather than fall deeper into pride and have a grander level of embarrassment, because this is what we're going to be seeing in the world anyways, guys. Buckle up and stay tuned, because life's a game that's played to win. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. And I'll see you in my next one.